Hi, welcome back to Wedding Planning Wednesdays. I hope you're having a good week. I love Hump Day because it signals midweek, meaning the work week is almost over. Sometimes my work week doesn't end, honestly, obviously on Friday because I have events a lot of times on weekends. But this weekend is definitely a weekend off. I know there's a lot going on right now. I wanted to check in with everyone before we even get started. I know Friday is kind of an ice out day, and I support everyone who is participating in that. And I do hope that there is disruption for the cause. So I know it's just been a lot this past few weeks. And so I just wanted to drop in and check in before we even get started because I feel like it's just, even me trying to focus day to day is hard, but I'm trying to really just buckle down, do my work, do what I need to do because otherwise I'm just letting, the darkness take over and we don't want that. And I feel like people in the wedding industry right now, it's just a weird time because of the economy, and everyone's feeling a little bit of pressure to contribute to the conversations right now and being like, should I be posting about this? I mean, to be honest, I was creating wedding content the past week and I just was not feeling it. So I didn't post or create that content. It just didn't feel like the right thing to do. But I completely understand we all have businesses to run. We still have to keep going. And so I'm trying to kind of get back into that mode at the moment. If you are going through anything similar, please share about it in the chat or drop it in the comments below if you're just going through anything similar to me. And I am of the mindset that if you're a wedding industry vendor or work in it, I think you should continue to show up as you and whatever is working for you and your business. And don't feel pressured to shrink back because of everything that's going on. I'm not saying I think we should ignore what's going on. I think it's important to stay informed and be able to um, not contribute, but just be mindful of the choices that we're making, how we're responding, how we're showing up for our community, our family, and friends. I think that's all very, very, very important. So I'm not saying that, but I do understand the need to keep showing up as yourself for your business. So I think whatever feels right to you, I think you should go with that right now and give yourself some grace, give all of ourselves some grace. I think we deserve it. And I think it's the only way to really go forward. Um, and with that, I'll get off my soapbox a little bit. But my name is Jane Yu. I am a wedding planning expert. I own a company called UNS with my husband John, who is the DJ side of things for our business. We love working with couples to just throw a kick-ass party. And also, I love focusing personally on designing intentional and personalized details for my clients. And I just really love supporting my couples, from the beginning to the end. Today, I wanted to talk about something a little bit more prescriptive that hopefully will help you. I know I've been talking a lot about kind of my perspective on different things, and I kind of wanted to get back into something that I hope will help you as you're starting your wedding planning journey. It is the start of kind of wedding planning season, I would say, and booking season. And so I thought this was appropriate. You've heard me probably talk about phases of wedding planning, learning to take it step by step. And this is a kind of an extension of that. I've linked those videos down below if you're interested in watching those to get you started. But today, I really wanted to focus on which vendors you should book in which order. And for me personally, as a wedding planner, I feel like it's a lot easier planning events for my clients than it was for my own wedding. And I think when you're planning your own wedding, you are just envisioning like that end product, like that wedding day, right? And that's good. You do need to envision that. But, you're also probably feeling a little bit impatient about getting there. And that's how I normally feel in general in life. Like whenever I have a goal, I set a goal like for the business or even my fitness journey or whatever, I'm always thinking about like getting there. And I'm really trying to figure out, or not figure out, but lean into enjoying or understanding that there are steps to the process. So it's the same with wedding planning. If you can approach it like you would anything else. There is an end goal and an end vision that you're trying to reach. And with that, you have to do it in steps. Not everything can be urgent. That will only set you into overwhelm, a cycle of overwhelm. And so you don't want to do that. Now, this is just a guide. Like it's not a set, standard. This is just what I think is best based on my experience. I've worked with couples who I've coordinated for that have booked vendors in different orders than what I'm about to say. So there is no wrong answer, but there are definitely recommendations that I'll make today. If you haven't downloaded my digital wedding planning guide, my wedding planning guide, my free wedding planning checklist, I have it available, and I did want to show it to you today because I do have a section in the guide where you can see which vendors you're supposed to book first. So if you download it, this is what you'll get. It's a PDF version. It's from my digital wedding planning product, my digital wedding planner, which is actually in Google Sheets. But this one is a PDF version. And so you can see here, there's a checklist of things for you to do for your wedding at a certain period of time. And then I recommend which vendors you should book during this period. It's not to say, oh, don't book a vendor that's ahead or behind or whatever. This is just to help keep you on track so that you can take it step by step. I try to put just the broad strokes of the tasks that you have to do, because with your own wedding, you'll have subtasks that come up. So you can use this space for your own notes and things like that, and you can use it however you need to. When you do purchase it, if you do purchase the planner product, it comes in Google Sheets format. So you'll be able to edit it however you need to after you download it for yourself. So I did want to show you that. I can show it again a little bit at the end, but this is the freebie that I give away, and I hope it kind of makes sense as I'm going into it. So I'm going to get started just on the booking vendors, and I do it kind of in phases, or I'll talk about it in phases, because not everyone is on the same timeline of planning. Some people plan it in 15 months, some people plan it in 8 months or whatever. So this is really just a guideline based on if you had around a year to plan your wedding. So the first phase is the first few months of planning. So I would say around 10 to 12 months. And if you are looking for a full service planner, that is definitely the first stop. I've had clients book me after they book their venue, which is fine, but their budget that they were considering does not necessarily reflect what that venue is going to cost them. For instance, a client came to me, they had booked a venue that comes with pretty much no furniture and no rentals. And they didn't realize like how much it would cost to bring every single thing in. And so by the time we did the budget, luckily they were very blessed to have family to really contribute to the wedding, and their budget was able to be flexible. But imagine if their budget wasn't flexible, then they would have spent all this money on the venue and had to really be scrappy with everything else to retrofit it to the venue. So A planner, at least what I do, is I help develop the budget first with my clients. I recommend venues that I think would be in budget. Sometimes if I haven't worked with them, I won't necessarily know, but all venues are not created equal, as you've probably heard me talk about. So I try to give them a cost comparison based on what I think that venue will need for that wedding. And so, like, if a venue does not come with food and beverage, for instance, then you have to figure out how much is catering going to cost me and kind of have a holistic view in that sense. So, planner first, if you're going to have a full planner, then you need a date and you need a place, right? So, venue and catering, a lot of times catering is in-house with the venue or exclusive. So, a lot of times that will be booked first. And then after that, I say photo video, because sometimes photographers get booked pretty early because there's a lot of popular ones. So if there's someone that you have your eye on, then you definitely want them booked. And so the way you kind of do these is, I think you should book these vendors within this time frame. But of course, before that, you do need to do your research. So you kind of have to triage the way you do your research and just get all the information that you need so that you can make a decision. Then the next phase, I would say, is the next kind of not important. I don't want to say important because I don't want to diminish all the other vendors, but it's the items that you definitely need, like for a standard wedding setup, right? So you definitely need, obviously, the venue. And then you will definitely need food and beverage in some format. And so if your venue doesn't come with it, then I would do the caterer next, because you want to, caterers, you can find, there's so many caterers, especially in like where I live in Los Angeles, but you do want to do your due diligence with pricing, with menu options. Maybe you want to do tastings with a couple of different caterers. So I would do caterer next. And then I would do hotel room block if you need that, because it depends. If it's a really popular weekend, then you want to lock that in pretty early in case there's just no availability. If you're in like a really bustling area, or maybe you're not in a bustling area and there's only very few options. So you want to kind of get on that, in my opinion. And then this is not a must-have, but if you're going to do a stationery designer, I would book them then, because you want to take the time to create the look that you want. And then I would say floral designer. You can start the conversation with them, but you can't really do this until you have a design. And then if music is important to you, I would definitely reach out to the DJ. I would do your due diligence with DJ bookings. Sometimes, actually, my husband, as I mentioned, John, he's a DJ and he gets booked pretty early sometimes. And then I'll come on as a coordinator. So it can happen in many different ways or orders, but it's also like what's important to you, right? Like, you're going to have a DJ if you want to have dancing and dinner and all music and all of that at the very least. So, doing research in these phases will help. So that's kind of the next phase, I would say. And that's 7 to 9 months out. Then around 5 to 6 months out, I would say start on the rentals. Because at that point, you'll have a little bit of an idea of guest count, how many people you've invited. Some people might have already, or sent out save the date. Some people might have already responded to you. And so I would, for rentals, like with furniture and decor, like if you have to rent all the tables and chairs and all of that, always plan for the maximum amount, right? So if you think it'll be somewhere between 120 to 150 guests, and this goes the same for catering, plan for the maximum amount, because usually you can remove things, but it also depends on the rental company. Sorry, all these caveats are coming out. That's why you need a planner, or need to watch these videos, because there's just all these nuances. Every company works differently. And so, for example, for a rental company, you want to put things on hold and you want to pay a deposit, because let's say you're going to be adjusting your order later on and they don't have that available because you didn't put it on hold. Some companies, they don't let you decrease the product or inventory that you put on hold, but most will. But a lot of specialty places, they won't let you because, you know, other people might have been interested, or they might only have a couple of those items and you had it booked. So always ask these questions, always read the fine print, because you want to see how long you have before the wedding to change your mind and change items, remove items. How flexible is that? But you do want to get it in the calendar, because labor and delivery and all of that, they especially like the busy ones, they need to prepare for that as much as possible. So with the caterer, as I was saying, also, you want to see how much the maximum guest count is going to cost, because if you end up having more people than you thought, then you're going to have to add on that budget. So it's good to just see like what the maximum amount will be. Always ask them, what is the attrition amount that's doable? So meaning, if you book 100 guests and you say you're going to do 100 guests, are you on the hook for 100 no matter what? Or can you decrease it to 80 as long as you meet a food and beverage minimum? A lot of them will have a minimum that you have to meet. So it's important to have all of these things in context. So along with the rentals, furniture, and decor, that 5 to 6 month period, I would say who is going to be your officiant, so you can start thinking through a ceremony, and then also a coordinator if you're not going to have a planner. Because this is always my recommendation, minimum, you want a coordinator. And I wouldn't even say day of. I do actually have a day of support package, but that even starts like a month out. My month of actually starts like 2 to 3 months out. I don't know how other people do it, but I do that because I don't want the client or myself to feel super crazed and catching up on information and all of this. And also, a lot of venues require couples to have a coordinator, because sometimes when you don't, there's things that fall through the cracks that nobody knew about, and the venue is not responsible for the event plan except for like what the venue is providing. So a lot of venues require it because it's necessary for the client and for them. So that's what I would suggest. And then 2 to 4 months out, get your dessert in order, your cake if you're having one, maybe any other activities like photo booth or anything else that you would want, book it then. And then if you're going to do any kind of transportation, if it's valet, a lot of times the venue may require it or suggest it depending where their venue is. So that might be booked earlier. But let's say you're going to do a shuttle for your guests, then I would definitely book that during the last phase. However, in places like Joshua Tree, or that's a little bit more remote, some of the shuttles may get booked up early during high season. So again, that's a little bit of you might want to do it earlier, but I've been fine like booking it as one of sort of the later vendors. And so that's kind of the vendor booking process in a nutshell. And of course, you can book as many vendors as you want as early on as possible. I know some very type A couples who find their vendors and just book them, and then they have a little bit of a lull to kind of focus on the fun stuff, the creative stuff for their wedding. And then like the final 3 months, they hand it off to a coordinator. I like to do it in phases with the client. And I try to lead them so that they're not trying to make like 40 decisions at one time. And of course, the research takes a while. It just depends on your process and how informed you want to be. I think obviously, like I said, venue and catering, planner, like photo video, like you want to vet those people. They'll be very involved with you, and you definitely want to vet them and make sure that the person you're hiring is going to have your back. And that's the most important in my perspective. Of course, my hope for you is that you work with people that you really love the vibe of, versus just, because they're the right price or whatever. That's my biggest hope for you. Because it really is a team of people coming together for your big day. And I think it's really important and great, like when everyone can really work together. The thing about events is everything will always work out for the most part. But I think no matter what goes wrong, you want the right people there to help get you through it, because there's always going to be things that happen. And so really that's really what matters. And even myself, I'm not perfect, and sometimes, I may fall short. I have fallen short in the past a few times from clients, and I learn from it each time to hopefully get better as I build my business, right? But those things happen, and the clients are never upset with me because I feel like I've always showed that I'm doing my best. I'm kind to everyone that I come across. Unless they are a-holes, then I will respond accordingly, appropriately. But I think it takes a lot to really like rile me up. But I think just remembering that kindness goes a long way, a little bit of kindness. So I think that's what you should really focus on, is how you feel with them. And so that's my vendor booking process, the order in which I think you should do things, especially if you're someone who gets overwhelmed by like all the tasks that you have to do. This is not to say things can't be done in less than 12 months. I did speak with someone this week that may be doing their wedding in May, which gives us 4 months to plan. It can be done, but it's just going to take a lot more time in a shorter period of time. A lot more time. It's going to feel like a lot more work in a shorter period of time for everybody. But one thing about shorter lead times or planning times is you are going to make quicker decisions. You're going to do less overthinking. I don't recommend it. I'm just saying that is a silver lining, I guess, of a short planning timeline. So next week, I honestly don't know what I'm going to talk about. I feel like week to week it changes. Honestly, this week I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this just because of everything that's been going on. But I still want to show up and support the couples who are looking for wedding advice, planning advice. And so I'm still talking about it today. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. If you have any suggestions or want me to discuss anything, I'm sure I'll figure something out. There's so much to talk about. I do have a list. I'm just trying to feel like what's the right vibe for the next one. So if you have anything that you want me to discuss or make a video on, please drop it in the comments. I welcome any feedback. And then remember that I do have my wedding planning checklist. I don't know, I call it guide, timeline, checklist, I don't know. But it is a checklist. It is a timeline. And I should probably have like a more succinct title for it. But remember, it's available for you to download for free. It's linked in my description below. And also, if you want to check out my digital wedding planner, I feel like it's been helping people for sure. I really appreciate you being here today. And I just realized that I forgot again about what's been enhancing my life. I think, let me go back to this. I mean, there is quite a bit. I think journaling has really been enhancing my life. I don't have a physical thing to share right now. But journaling has really been helping me. Sometimes I write for 2 minutes. Sometimes I write for 10. I've talked about reading the Daily Stoic, and that's been helping me through. So I leave you with this today. I know that maybe you're not feeling your best and it's been really hard, and I totally understand. Today's exercise that I did is I wrote down people whose processes or actions I want to follow as an example. And it was interesting because I listed different qualities from each of my family members, like my parents, my siblings, John, and it was a really great exercise, and I should probably share it with them too. To know that you have people in your life that are showing up in a way that's admirable and inspiring to you. And that was helpful for me because there's a lot happening out there where you don't feel that way. A lot of people are not showing up in the way you want them to, or you would hope. But you can always do what you think is right for for the world and for your community. So I hope that leaves you with something to think about and a little bit of hope as well. Um, as I finish today's video, I really am thankful for you getting to the end of this video if you're here. And I don't know if anyone showed up live. I honestly haven't been doing it for the live. I've just been doing it as a accountability thing for myself to show up every week. And I have been considering changing the time because I realize this is, especially on the West Coast, this is a time where people are still working. And so I may do it maybe later in the evening, post dinner, so that more people can join from home. But if you're watching a replay, please drop any comments or thoughts about anything, honestly, in the chat. I mean, not in the chat, in the comments. And I am so thankful that you're here, and I will see you next time. Have a good night.